unfortunately. Well, it's quite crowded room. I was expecting when I'm going to speak in the afternoon that everybody will decide, oh, hey, it's almost done, let's go shopping. And I can assure in Warsaw there are shops, so still surprised why I'm still here. Anyway, first, before I start, surprisingly, when I was coming here by the taxi driver on a SK Rock radio, there was going a song of the Guns N' Roses, Paradise City, you know, Paradise City where the grass is green and girls are pretty. And here, by that saying, I would like to say thank you very much to the team of Perspektywy for doing that, such a great event. Why we don't give them a warm applause? Okay, well, when I was asked to come and speak like a keynote speaker here, I was trying to figure out why so many people may decide to come to that event. And I was thinking, and I figured out that the reason probably is you would like to manifest that you are devoted to, you're motivated to devote your talent to the IT industry, and you would like to manifest that barriers and hurdles you meet on your road actually waste some of this talent. And I think this event really proved it. So by having said that, for my presentation, I decided to bring a bit of my experience. Since he's a person who lived in several countries, I don't live in my home country, I had been a subject of diversity programs. I would like to share my approach, how I did assess, am I in a diverse organization or am I not? So let's start it then my presentation goes like a diversity measure and wisdom. And the guy over there is the only scientific fact in my presentation. Anything else is just my thoughts. So let's start it though. Well, before we start it, I need to put at least some theory behind. And I have a question. We have 3-4 pieces here. I would like to raise your hand if you believe a 10th person from you is sitting a person who really values diversity and inclusiveness. So if you believe 10 people from you, there is a person who values that diversity, raise your hand, please. Okay, thank you very much. We seem to be very, very open. And the way I did that is because that is one of the approaches we really measured inclusiveness and diversity. This is a subjective measure, and such measure goes to a simple formula like satisfaction is really realization divided by the expectations. So what you do, who provides realization? Typically in organizations, this is the organization, and who brings the expectations? Well, the expectations comes from the organization first, society and the personal people value. And then going the math, so if the organization is so good enough to realize the expectations they delivered, we may end up with the formula like satisfaction is 1 divided by society multiplied by the personal values. And you see that if you want to grow up a satisfaction, the only one thing you can do is bring this up. And this is what we're talking about today. When we talk about the inclusiveness, I would like to just share a few words about the diversity inclusiveness itself. And I would like to apologize to the tech environment here. With this math, I'll probably never get a physics Nobel, but probably I'm good enough to run for a politician. Then let's go and see what the difference is between diversity and inclusiveness are. First point is what motivates or what is the driver. In the perspective of diversity, the driver is a legal point. It comes for the avoiding penalties, regulations, things like that. When we talk about the inclusiveness, we move to the business area. So this is a business motivations, like you would like to increase your pool of talents, you would like to enter new markets, you would like to collaborate with the society around you, all these kind of purposes. When we talk about the nature of the change, why we're doing certain things or reason, obviously for the diversity it comes from the outside. While when we're talking about inclusive organization, we're talking about the strategy. And when you talk about the strategy these days, especially IT industry, what is the company? Well, company is not anymore people who work for a particular brand. Because we're connected so tightly with our customers, almost every company collects a lot of feedback through the internet from their customers. And this feedback is actually the input to improve our processes. So our customers at the same time are our suppliers. So we do one company is a customer plus the organization itself. Therefore, this is the strategical part. Then you have visible, invisible perspective. So for the visible parts are like race, gender, things like that. When we talk about the invisible, we are talking about things like beliefs, religion, things you cannot spot first time. Then implementation. Usually diversity goes in demographic implementations. When we're talking about implementation over inclusiveness, we're talking about the cultural change. And the last one is a target. We go about the minority focus, while for the inclusiveness, we talk about everyone. So this is a little theory. And what is happening here? Regarding we're looking for diversity or inclusiveness, we have 5 words: motivation, reason, scope, approach of the implement, and the target. And how to figure it out? We're in a diverse organization. Well, we're in a corporate world, people like me who spend half of their life. First thing we do is ask for measurements. Once we get a measurement, we have a KPI, and there we go, put the goals. Cool. Then what we end up with is kind of this story. We bring data, put the data on, bring the KPIs in. And let's comment a bit about the KPIs as such. This is my first step I look into it. And first, when you decide look into the decision of the KPIs, this is the first step you can understand the organization. There's one simple definition about the good KPI. KPIs are like jokes. If you have to explain them, they're not good. Second thing is about how we do work with the KPIs. Well, most of the time we go like in a meeting, sit down, oh, KPIs are green, let's do some serious business. If you see this in an organization, for me, this is a message, I'm not at the diverse place. Why? Because if you remember yesterday, the vice minister, she said, well, when I was approached, they asked, okay, you're a lady, why don't come? But I don't understand that. It doesn't really matter, come. I have a KPI to meet. So when you talk about the serious organizations, KPIs must be looked at regardless of the side they are. Remember, what is red and what is green is our subjective decision, not a reality. Then next thing about the KPIs we look around is probably how we distribute them. Top-down is not a bad idea, but we have to adjust them to the layers. If you see just a progression, for me, it's a very negative message. Progression down, top-down, same KPI. So you end up in an organization of 3 people, and you got a KPI. 50% of your staff must be women. I've got 3 people. 50%, this is what boss said. That doesn't sound like a proper way to distribute the KPIs as well. And another thing, KPIs are very good for dynamic measurements. And we very often focus on the last number because we are, unfortunately, as Richard Semler says, we are a quarter-based animals. If you don't meet the quarter numbers, you're actually gone. So having said that, seems like if I put the KPIs properly, I analyze them properly, and that's all those things, then I probably can end up with beautiful numbers. Well, before I said is that possible or not possible, let's look what sort of numbers we can collect for the diversity. There are 2 different things, like objective and subjective area. Objective is mostly demographic measurements. When you talk about the subjective, this is surveys. And this is another spot very interesting to assess organizations. Before the surveys, some organizations, what they do, this definitely is motivation. For the time you put the survey, organizations start communicating to people. Oh, we have a survey 3 weeks from now. Let's tell the people what we've done. If you see this approach, ask yourself where you are. Okay, so let's assume all these things are good. Is that organization diverse? Most of the managers love to think so. And probably they're true until such thing happens. Well, the guy here, for the people who don't know, this is Josip Brekalo, 20 million euro player of Wolfsburg. what happened September this year, Wolfsburg put a diversity program to manifest their support to LGBT organizations. And they said, all our teams regarding the age, they're going to play, the captain is going to play with the armband in the rainbow color. And they announced that. And immediately, this guy went to the Twitter and said, I'm very tolerant to my friends who are belong to the LGBT. I always support them. I admire their decisions. But I'm not going to wear this, because this goes against my family beliefs. What is this? Oh, this is a goddamn conflict. The half of the society went, oh, he's an idiot. The other half said, wow, he's a wise guy, same supporters. And actually, I believe if you can go back yourself and search what happens, I think Wolfsburg presented themselves as a great organization. And that's why I think when I try to assess organization, what I do is ask a very simple question. What was the biggest internal conflict of opinions you had to solve in your organization? Surprisingly, very often I see people who are a bit shy and avoiding eye contact. They typically say, well, but we are so great team, we all understand each other without words, and so on and so forth. I mean, come on, bullshit. That's not possible. If we avoid conflicts, that is the very easy way to go away from the diversity. And when you talk about going away from the conflict, this is going away from the allowing them. This is going away from teaching people how to run in the conflict, how they have to behave in the conflict. So for me, organizations who can answer that question and have programs like teaching people how to deal in a case of conflict, how to reach compromises, how to manage conflicts, this is the real fact of a diversity organization for me personally, from my personal experience. And why I believe so? Well, you know, conflict is a very simple thing. Even with people, since we are IT industry, I will use that example. What we teach computers, you know, internet, you connect a very diverse devices from TVs to washing machines, whatever. They're very diverse, and they communicate each other. But what happens? At the second layer of the communication protocols, we embedded something we called collision domain. And this thing sits on top of collisions or conflicts. We tried before to avoid the conflicts. It was not possible. The performance wasn't there. The clear communication wasn't there. So the biggest communication system in the world people built, are based on the communication, on the conflicts. So same for the diversity. And that's why I believe enabling conflicts is important. And what is the conflict? Conflict is resolving a conflict is about listening, understanding, be able to reach compromises, looking wider, respect people. And all this can be put in one word, and this word is wisdom. And that's why I believe organizations which values the diversity value is an act of wisdom for the organization. And all measurements we take around are just a fuel to the conflicts which challenge our wisdom. So for me, organizations don't look to the numbers, are much better if they have the wisdom piece. Having said that, dear ladies, you don't have to come and find your way into the IT industry. Your way was put already there by others. This is the lady who is sometimes nominated to be the first software programmer. Many ladies did a lot of wonderful things around these decades of IT industry. I don't want to say about the Java language itself being together by Kim. She did a great job putting the team together and manifesting this as a product outside there. So you are already here, and actually you're the one responsible to bring the wisdom to our organizations, and this is what we are waiting for. Thank you very much indeed. And before you're clapping your hands, I don't really deserve a claps. I see several ladies, they work with me in Samsung. Can you stand up, all of Samsung ladies? please. Well, this is the faces. This is the beautiful faces behind our products. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.